Sometimes the Earth can feel like the last place you want to be. Indeed, a number of explorers have devised inventive ways to move civilization from this planet. It's no surprise that the promise of a better life in the mysterious afterlife can be seductive. But the truth is, the more we learn about it, the more special it becomes here. Our journey begins with one step. Just 400,000 kilometers from home. Three days in a spaceship. Until the moon. Many astronauts have made this journey before us. Neil Armstrong, known as the first man to step on the moon. His first spaceflight took place in 1966, with pilot David Scott. Armstrong's second and last space mission was as commander of the Apollo 11 landing mission on July 1969. In this famous huge step for humanity, Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the surface of the moon and performed a 2.5-hour exploration mission directly on its surface, in lunar suits, during which time the third member of the moon, their crew, Michael Collins, was in the capsule in orbit around the moon. After 21.5 hours on the lunar surface, the Eagle module took off and entered lunar orbit, where it coupled with the Collins piloted command and service module. 40 million kilometers to about 259 million kilometers. We are much further than any real man has ever ventured. The goddess of love, Venus. The morning star, the evening star. Venus is a terrestrial planet and is sometimes called the sister planet of Earth, due to their similar size, mass, proximity to the Sun, and chemical composition. It has the densest atmosphere of the 4 terrestrial planets, consisting of more than 96% carbon dioxide. The atmospheric pressure at the surface of the planet is 92 times higher than on Earth, or about the pressure found at 900 m underwater on Earth. Venus is by far the hottest planet in the solar system, with an average surface temperature of 735 K, 462 degrees Celsius, 863 degrees Fahrenheit, even though Mercury is closer to the Sun. There are assumptions that there were oceans on Venus in the past, as there were on Earth, but they evaporated as the surface temperature rose. The water was probably photodissociated, and free hydrogen was scattered in interplanetary space by the solar wind due to the lack of a planetary magnetic field. Venus does not have a large metal core like that of Earth, which is why it does not have a protective magnetic field. The current landscape of Venus is a dry desert with dusty rocks. Being one of the brightest objects in the sky, Venus has been a major element in human culture since ancient times. It was a primary inspiration for writers and poets. Venus was the first planet to have its movements in the sky since the 2nd millennium BC. Before they did, maybe Venus was once beautiful, calm, like her sister, Terra. Hidden by the sun, burned, then frozen. It's about Mercury. Being strewn with craters. It has no natural satellites and no denser atmosphere. The planet has a large iron core that generates a magnetic field about 100 times weaker than that of Earth. The surface temperature of Mercury varies from about 90 K to 700 K, with the hottest point being the hottest and the bottom of the craters near the poles being the coldest points. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, orbiting it once every 88 Earth days. Its brightness varies between -2.0 and 5.5 in apparent magnitude, but it is not easy to see because the largest angular separation, largest elongation, from the Sun is only 28.3 degrees, meaning that it can be seen only immediately after sunset. Mercury left its name in the name of the day of the week following Tuesday, namely Wednesday, from the Latin phrase. Whole planets drifting through the cosmos, destroying everything in its path. And we, caught in the middle. He is the Sun. Vulnerable, exposed. It all depends on him. He is our light, our life. Everything is up to him. He was the god of the Egyptians, being reborn day by day. Helios, the god of the Greeks, driving his chariot into the sky. The Sun is the star in the center of the solar system. It is an almost perfect sphere made of hot plasma, held by gravity, and shaped by a magnetic field. It is by far the most important source of energy for life on Earth. Its diameter is about 1.39 million kilometers, or 109 times that of the Earth, and its mass is about 330,000 times that of the Earth. It represents approximately 99.86% of the total mass of the solar system. About 3/4 of the Sun's mass is made up of hydrogen, 73%, the rest is mostly helium, 25%, with much smaller amounts of heavier elements, including oxygen, carbon, neon, and iron. The Sun currently fuses about 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium every second, turning 4 million tons of matter into energy. This energy, which can take between 10,000 and 170,000 years to escape from its core, is the source of light and heat from the Sun. When the fusion of hydrogen in the nucleus decreases to the point where the Sun is no longer in hydrostatic equilibrium, its nucleus will undergo a significant increase in density and temperature as its outer layers expand, eventually turning the Sun into a red giant. It is estimated that the Sun will become large enough to incorporate the current orbits of Mercury and Venus and make the Earth uninhabitable, but after about 5 billion years. After that, it will shed its outer layers and become a dense type of cooling star known as a white dwarf and will no longer produce energy by fusion, but will continue to glow and release heat from its previous fusion. The enormous effect of the Sun on the Earth has been recognized since prehistoric times, and the Sun has been considered a deity in some cultures. For millions of years, we looked at the Sun as if we were looking at the image of God. It's so far away if it burned out we wouldn't know about it for 8 minutes. It's so big, you could fit 1 million Earths inside it. We see it every day, but one day, all this will stop, the Sun's fuel will be spent. And when it dies, the Earth will fallow. We need to find another home. Among the millions, billions of planets, there must be one that's not too hard, not too cold. The red planet, 4th largest planet in the Sun and the 2nd largest in the solar system. Mars is named after the Roman god of war and is often called the red planet. Mars is a thin planet with a thin atmosphere, with surface features reminiscent of the impact craters of the Moon, as well as valleys, deserts, and polar ice caps of Earth. For centuries, we've looked to Mars for company, for signs of life. Could there be extraterrestrial life here? Hard to imagine, though up close, this is a dead planet. There is ongoing research evaluating the past habitability potential of Mars, as well as the possibility of life. Liquid water cannot exist on the surface of Mars due to low atmospheric pressure, which is less than 1% of atmospheric pressure on Earth, except for small increases for short periods. Days and seasons are comparable to those of the Earth, because the period of rotation as well as the axial inclination relative to the ecliptic plane are very similar. Mars is home to Mount Olympus, the largest volcano and the most famous mountain on any planet in the solar system, and Valles Marineris, one of the largest canyons in the solar system. The Northern Hemisphere basin covers 40% of the planet and can be a sign of a huge impact. This was not always the case, and 4 billion years ago, it was believed that Mars had a lot of water and was a warmer place. If there was life on Mars, it was 3 to 4 billion years ago, and it would be amazing to find clear evidence that even a tiny, ultra-simple being lived on Mars. A few things are essential for a planet to be habitable: liquid water, energy, carbon, and a few other elements. Although the stories in movies with aggressive Martians are fascinating, if there were clear evidence of fossil life there would be some simple microbial life, by no means spectacular monsters. Even in the most extreme conditions, life usually finds a way. Olympus Mons, it is 3 times higher than Mount Everest. Although it was suspected to be a mountain, the volcano is almost 22 kilometers high and covers an area of almost 300,000 square kilometers. Northeast of Olympus Mons, it is about 19 times its surface area, but is only 1/3 the height of Olympus. The hunt for life is spearheaded by this humble fellow, the NASA rover. The rover's objectives include searching for past Martian environments capable of supporting life, searching for a possible microbial life in those environments, collecting rock and soil samples that will be stored on the Martian surface, and testing the production of oxygen in the Martian atmosphere. Maybe we've already found what we're looking for on Earth. Something that life started here and then migrated to Earth. This could be our home. It could be we are all Martians. Who knows? It is a gas giant with a mass 1,000th of that of the Sun, but 2.5 times the total mass of all the other planets in the solar system. Jupiter. Jupiter is the 5th planet from the Sun and the largest in the solar system. Jupiter is one of the brightest objects visible to the naked eye in the night sky and has been known to ancient civilizations since the time of recorded history. It is named after the Roman god Jupiter. Jupiter is made up of 3/4 of hydrogen and 1/4 of helium. It may have a rocky core of heavier elements, but like other giant planets, Jupiter lacks a well-defined solid surface. Due to its rapid rotation, the shape of the planet is that of a rotating ellipsoid, flattened at the poles and more convex at the equator. The outer atmosphere is visibly segregated in several bands at different latitudes, resulting in turbulence and storms along their interaction boundaries. Jupiter has 79 known satellites, including the 4 Galilean satellites discovered by Galileo Galilei in 1610. Ganymede, the largest of these, has a larger diameter than the planet Mercury. Jupiter consists of about 88 to 92% hydrogen and 8 to 12% helium. However, lightning created by low storm activity resembles that of Earth. It is the 6th largest planet in the Sun and the 2nd largest in the solar system after Jupiter. Saturn. It is a gas giant with an average radius of about 9 times that of Earth. Although its density is only 1/8 of the average density of the Earth, Due to its large volume, Saturn's mass is 95 times greater than that of the Earth. The core is surrounded by a layer of metallic hydrogen, an intermediate layer of liquid hydrogen and liquid helium, and finally a gaseous outer layer. Saturn has a pale yellow hue due to the ammonia crystals in its upper atmosphere. The most famous feature of the planet is its prominent annular system, which is composed mostly of ice particles with a smaller amount of rock debris and dust. Cassini spacecraft orbits Saturn. Cassini tells us where these rings come from. The rings are made up of countless small particles, ranging in size from microns to meters, that form clusters that revolve around the planet Saturn. The particles in the rings contain almost all of the ice water, with some contamination of dust and other chemicals. Galileo Galilei was the first to observe Saturn's rings in 1610 using his telescope. No natural satellite to have a dense atmosphere, and the only celestial body other than Earth, for which there is clear evidence that it has a liquid surface. Titan consists mainly of ice water and rock. As in the case of Venus before the space age, the dense, opaque atmosphere prevented the study of Titan's surface. There is currently sufficient information on the surface of the satellite with the arrival of the Cassini-Huygens mission in 2004, which also discovered liquid hydrocarbon lakes in the polar regions of the satellite. Titan's atmosphere is largely composed of gaseous nitrogen, with other minor components leading to the formation of methane and ethane clouds and nitrogen-rich organic smog. It is thought that this satellite could be a possible host for microbial extraterrestrial life, or at least a prebiotic environment rich in complex organic chemistry with a possible underground liquid ocean that would serve as a biotic environment. We can't live here either. We go further, maybe we find a planet where we can live. The Greek god of the sky, Uranus. It is the third largest planet and the fourth largest in the solar system. It has the coldest planetary atmosphere in the solar system, with a minimum temperature of 49 K 224 degrees Celsius. Uranus has a complex structure of stratified clouds, and it is believed that water forms the smallest clouds and methane the upper layer of clouds. The interior of Uranus is composed mainly of ice and rock. Uranus has a ring system, a magnetosphere, and numerous satellites. The uranium system has a unique configuration because its axis of rotation is tilted sideways, almost in the plane of its solar orbit. Therefore, its northern and southern poles are where most of the other planets have their equator. The eighth planet from the Sun. Neptune. Named after the Roman god of the sea. It orbits the Sun at a distance of 30.1 astronomical units, which means that its orbit is about 30 times larger than the Earth's orbit. Neptune is far from the Sun. It has one of the coldest atmospheres in the solar system, the temperatures of the upper layers of the clouds reaching -218 degrees Celsius. Triton is Neptune's largest natural, irregular satellite. Triton is the largest satellite in the solar system with a retrograde orbit, rotating in the opposite direction of the planet's rotation. An ice sheet and a substantial core of rock and metal. The core represents 2/3 of the total mass of the satellite. And that's it, we have no satellites or planets to see in our solar system. We are moving away from our solar system. Now we will accelerate the engine to maximum speed. 40 trillion miles from home. So far the miles are becoming meaningless. Out here we measure in light years. Light travels 6 trillion miles a year. So we are over 4 light years from home. About 10.5 light years away. Asteroids, comets, everywhere. Some asteroids are solid rock bodies with a lower or higher metal content, while others consist of a conglomerate of rocks formed by the force of gravity. Asteroids vary greatly in size, from a few hundred kilometers in diameter to rocks of only a few tens of meters. This is a black hole. In this black hole, no light can escape. Gravitational fields are strong enough that light cannot escape. Each galaxy has a supermassive hole at its center. All the wonders we've seen on our journey. Galaxies, stars, planets, all of these are waiting for us to always explore. We traveled millions of light years, but we couldn't find a home to live in. But what else do we need when we actually have a house here on Earth? Nowhere is it like home. The only heavenly body that shelters life. Here we have oceans, bays, rivers. Everything we need to shelter our lives. There is only one thing to do, and that is how to save our planet from climate change, war, deforestation, polarization. Until it's too late. Let's not become like the other planets. Alone, haunted, burned, and without sheltering life.